Get ready, because it's the TacoTuesday.com podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the TacoTuesday.com podcast. I'm the host, Corey, joined by my co-host, Crawford. Today, we are stoked to announce that we have the champagne buyer from High Times, as well as a former and maybe current cheesemonger, Todd.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me today. Appreciate it. What's going on?
Thanks for coming on. Oh, you know, eating tacos, talking about stuff.
You had me at tacos.
Yeah.
So quite the spread.
All right. So today's podcast is brought to you by Chelas Mexican Kitchen. Shout out to Carla, who is amazing and brought in all of this stuff. So this is a taco taquito kit. Feeds 4 to 6 people. $70. Great for parties. Great for just catering for the family. Pretty much any reason, you know. I'd buy it for myself. So
we don't need a fourth for today, though. We're gonna put this thing down.
Oh yeah.
This
then
never stood a chance.
Quick shout out to Melissa's Produce as well. We love you. All right, man. So I was a fishmonger for some time. Used to come home, had like scales in my eyebrows, and just every part of me reeked of fish.
Where'd you do that at? Where do they have fishmongers? Is that?
So it's like a traditional wet fish house. So I don't know if I should say the name.
In here, in Southern California.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was
Sorry,
a
just
thing.
phonetically, that's a rough sentence.
Yeah, right.
Just a wet fish house.
Yeah, a traditional wet fish house, which when they told me that, I kind of made the same face. I'm like, so what am I going to be doing? They're like, you're going to hate it all, man. They're like, you get here at 10 p.m., you leave at 10 a.m., you know, Monday through Saturday.
This was before you met your wife. Yeah.
No, we were, because I've been with her now for 11 years. So,
okay,
and I did this.
She met you while you were a fish. She met you while you were a fishmonger.
No, she met when I should have had like a friggin' helmet on, honestly, dude. I was like 20, 21 years old.
Before.
Way before.
Oh, and she stayed with you through your fishmongering.
She stayed with me.
No wonder
through
you
a
married
comedy
her.
club.
That's why you married her.
Yeah.
Like, you can come home smelling like that every day, and she still loves you. That's the test.
So tell us a little bit about cheesemonger, man. Like, how did you get into that?
I mean, mongering in general. Like, it was actually kind of funny. When we talked about doing this, I was like, I'll be honest, I have no idea what a cheesemonger actually means. Like, I've been called it so many times. I'm like, God, am I really a cheesemonger? So I wasn't sure if there was some type of like, because a lot of those things have like certifications, you know, like SOMs and you know, all sorts of things, you know, sake and I was like, oh man, am I gonna step on like cheese people's toes by like, you're not a real cheesemonger, you haven't,
I love
you know,
the idea of cheese people getting pissed off about it.
Oh no,
that's a fun fight, man.
You know how sensitive sometimes people can be about their professions or what have you. So, but like, you know, I mean, but because there is actually a certification for cheese that I looked into doing a few years ago, and I was like, and even to go to it, you have to have, I forget, it was like 10,000 hours of working on a cheese counter before you can even apply. And I was like, I wonder if I have 10,000 hours on a cheese counter. And between working at Whole Foods forever, and I mean, I've been at High Time for 22 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I started kind of doing the math on it. I think I'm at like 40,000 hours on like working in cheese or something. So I could easily, but I was like, I don't really need another certification for cheese.
Yeah.
That's not going to make me happier in the morning when I wake up. But so, I mean, I guess a monger just means like a merchant or someone that sells something. So because I am currently still selling a lot of cheese, I'm definitely still mongering. So, but I was thinking about the fishmonger deal. Is that where you throw the fish?
Oh,
like
no, I'm not like on the dock throwing fish.
That would be so much cooler if we did that with cheese.
That would
you
be
know
cool.
what I mean? Like
Just
when you want the
chucking
cheese,
it
you
pwas.
chuck the cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pwas. like.
Dude, some of that like French stinky, like wet, gooey cheese, you know, just smack.
Or how about like just a piece of Parmesan? You don't catch that one, you're going to regret it. You know what I mean? You better get behind that thing. Yeah. But no, it's you know, I actually got into it way back in the day when I very first started cooking for a living. I had this mentor. He was this British guy named James Drakeford, who was famous around here for a long time.
Name.
Oh, he was
Drakeford.
Yeah, and just the guy was the most amazing ping pong player as well. And I mean, the guy had forgotten more about cheese than I know. And he lives in Scandinavia now. I still chat with him all the time. Anytime I try and spell something that's French cheese, he corrects me. I'm like terrible at spelling in French.
Brie.
Brie, I get down. But no, and I thought he was so cool. And I'm sorry. And then I thought he was so cool, and he was like super into cheese. I never really thought like that could be something cool, and probably isn't. But no, it's been and I ended up working for Whole Foods Market. That was one of the honestly favorite jobs I ever had was just literally cutting, wrapping, tagging, selling cheese all day.
That cheese section rocks.
Yeah.
It just does. It's so good. That's my favorite spot in the store.
Yeah. So I was already into cheese. I grew up eating crazy cheese in the refrigerator. I mean, there was always like weird stinky cheese in the refrigerator growing up. So it just never occurred to me that, as you go to people's houses as a child and the parents are eating stinky cheese and you roll up and start eating it, they're like, what the hell is going on here? And so I just kind of, I don't know. It's cool.
What is it about wine and cheese that works so well? Like I'm coming off, no one knows this because you're watching this there. I'm coming off 3 weeks of travel for wine riding in like Northern Italy, Paso Robles, like Santa Barbara. Your boy's tired right now. But man, the amount of cheese I ate with all the wine. What is it about wine and cheese that just works so damn well?
I mean, one of my favorite things about cheese is that the part of your brain that, like, when you eat cheese is the pleasure center, is the part that affects. So
that makes a
I
lot of
think
sense.
it's like the same part of your brain that when you do drugs, it's like, oh, I like those,
So
is cheese.
cheating on
So
my
it's
wife
literally
with
like, it's a form of drug use in a weird way. So
Well, it's like nicotine and booze,
cheese is a form of drug use.
And
if anybody owns a t-shirt company, get on it.
right? So, yeah, no, I don't know. And it's got that umami thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what keeps people coming back for more because there's plenty of foods out there that do the bitter, sour, salty, sweet. But it's the foods that do umami, I think, are the things that really kind of get a hold of us as humans and want us to keep doing that.
Right.
It's that textural component that you just go like, oh, it's like,
That's fair.
yeah. And, the fun thing about, I've been teaching a wine and cheese class there at High Time for a long time. It's really interesting to do because I've always said that taste in wine is obviously quite subjective.
Yeah.
And taste in cheese is obviously quite subjective. So when you put the two together, you get this exponential subjectivity that you have no idea. So when you get all these cheese books, they're like, oh, you should do this cheese with this wine. And we would do that when we first started doing it. And there'd be 10 people that hate that combination.
Yeah.
So, we started doing it in like more of a schematic form where you just taste everything with everything instead of trying to target specific. And it's really interesting to see like what people like together and how many people in the room hate that together. And it's pretty interesting to do those tastings and just see what people like and what people don't like.
I can see that being fun.
Yeah.
So real quick for anybody watching that's not from Orange County, California, we keep mentioning High Time. So High Time Wine Cellars, basically, you guys are like the de facto, it's the go-to, the historic liquor store, whatever, mecca, whatever you want to call it.
Iconic, I think.
Yeah, whenever anybody
for
needs
sure.
anything, they're like, oh, High Time probably has it. Like, oh, you're looking for this weird esoteric Gourmet or this brand new craft rum, you guys tend to have it.
Well, I
So
always tell
just
people
for
that
reference.
if we don't have it, you probably don't need it that bad.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
But we probably have it.
completely fair.
I mean, after I've been there 22 years, and people still come in and say, hey, do you guys have this? I'm like, I've never even heard of that before. What is it? And I go ask someone. They're like, oh, yeah, there's like 5 of them on aisle 8 over there. And I'm like, what? Okay. So
Whenever I go into High Time, I suddenly feel like Jennifer Connelly in Labyrinth. Like I just like get lost and I find new areas, and I'm like, what the fuck? There's all this
it's
stuff.
like the Smithsonian. People come in and they're like, you just see them walking around and they're like lost. Can I help you? And they're like, no.
Yeah, you're like,
40
minutes. Like,
yeah, you can't see it all in one day.
I
There's
didn't
no
even know
way.
you had a champagne room until like 6 years in, and then I walked in one day and I was like, I'm home.
You'd be
champagne
surprised how
room.
often I hear people walking through the store and then they go, oh my goodness, I never knew there was a wine cellar here. What do you mean? They're like, it literally says High Time Wine Cellars on the outside. Like, no, I just go straight to the beer thing every time. And yeah, there's a giant subterranean wine cellar underneath here.
Yeah.
But
Most overrated champagne. Go. It's all right. No reps are watching.
oh man, that's a tough one. That's
why-
a tough
and-
one.
and why is
I
it
mean, I
Veuve?
know people love to hate on the yellow label Veuve Clicquot,
Yeah.
but I mean, it keeps the lights on at High Time. And
I think it keeps the lights on a lot of places.
I had it the other day, and I was like, people love to hate on this. It was a great bottle of wine. What's overrated? God, that's a tough one, actually.
Well, especially because again, we got the
I'm gonna
holidays
go with
coming up.
Wycliffe.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it says champagne on the label. That's one of the few things that somehow they got around those French lawyers.
Yeah.
And I get people calling me saying, "Oh, I talked to a somm the other day, and they said that this is better than any French champagne." I'm like, "Come on, dude, it's $4.99."
Calm down.
Let's be honest. And I'm not going to say I haven't had a million hangovers from it, going to brunches and putting down my body weight in it.
Yeah.
But, you know, like...
There's been plenty of mimosa NFL Sundays where my blood type at the end of the day is Corbel. So,
Yeah.
look, no one's innocent.
You know? Corbel, I think, you know, was one of the... It's gone up way in price. So, you know, back in the day when it was like $10 and you can get it, it's like, okay, that's a good deal. But now it's like $15. So I'm like, I'm looking for other things. But
Right.
I'm going to go with Wycliffe, even though we sell boatloads of it. Like, I have so much of it that if the stack fell on you, it would kill you.
That's a good problem to have, man.
Drink
That's a
enough
problem
of
I'd
it, it
like.
might
I got
anyway.
so much tequila at home, dude. Like, you don't even want to stand close to it.
I mean, it's a measurement.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. That's
Death.
fair. It's all relative. Ooh, we're gonna
All
get
right,
some.
you guys want to dish up some food? And
I mean,
Yeah.
we probably should.
We're gonna get some ASMR real quick. Taquito timeout.
You know what? Have you guys been to, is it Austin?
Austin, Texas?
Yeah.
No,
just
you probably
there.
So they have a concept there that is breakfast tacos, which I think is is underutilized in other areas. I mean, I guess we do breakfast burritos here.
We do, and we crush them. Yeah, we're very good at them.
We certainly crush our share at High Time. We're big on breakfast burritos, but I don't know, like, no, that's like everywhere you go, everything's breakfast tacos.
So
instead of breakfast burritos.
probably like 10 episodes at this point, I guess. When we had Gustavo Arellano on, writer, Mexican cultural historian, and just all around kind of badass. We did a whole breakdown on the breakfast taco.
Yeah.
Yeah. An entire break. Yeah, Austin is really crushing that.
I remember one of the places that we kept going to while we were there was called One in a Million.
Nice.
A plus branding. A plus branding. If you're watching, good job. Yeah. That's awesome. 1 in a million. You got to lean into it. You just got to lean into it.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm actually starving. I'm super stoked she brought in this kid again. Yeah. For real?
Are we about to check the ballistics of a taquito?
Oh, we are. Yeah.
Ready?
Cool. It's all fun and games.
That worked out.
Yeah.
No one has any idea what happened in the background. There could have been a death. No one knows what's behind that camera.
It'd be kind of weird for us to keep going if there had been a death. We're just like, nah, dude, the show must go on.
I mean,
like the Taco Tuesday podcast
we
is
will
just
not
will
quit.
continue.
We will not
Yeah.
press. We will not falter. Oh man. Thank you. That was what yes. All right. Shout out to Sheldon right now producing this show, making us actually sound and look good. Yes, I 100% just got the president from Independence Day. One of the greatest speeches of all times, frankly. Yeah, if you're hungover, just turn on the speech from Independence Day, and you're right back in the game. Like you're fine.
There you go.
All right, we got the holidays coming up. At the time that this is going to release, we got Thanksgiving coming up, and by default, the biggest drinking day of the year, which is the night before Thanksgiving, because family.
Love it.
What would you say if somebody wanted to bring like a kick-ass bottle that's a decent price point that'll kind of surprise everybody? Maybe something fun, maybe something different.
Thanksgiving stuff.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving, the fair of Thanksgiving.
and cheese for that matter too. We'll do them both.
Yeah. Because everything's so salty, the Thanksgiving, in all honesty, Riesling is always my first go-to for recommendations for Thanksgiving stuff.
I wore this hat for a reason. Yeah.
And with that comes obviously like Albarino's great.
Yeah.
Chenin Blanc is great with all that because it's kind of salty. It's pretty salty fare, so that salty kind of fruity thing works out well. So actually a lot of like Loire Valley sparkling Chenin Blancs I think do very, very well. Obviously some of the German sects do very well. Mm-hmm. Sects.
Yeah.
I was going to jump in there, but it looks like you.
That's a loose one. But I mean, God, at the same time, man, some of the Cremant de Bourgognes that are going for under $20 now are just like such a great alternative.
They're crunchy.
To champagne. I mean, I think now with education and just I guess the internet, maybe I don't know, maybe the newest like winemaking equipment, people are able to make better sparkling wines at lower price points now. So you're able to find stuff that I think competes with some of the champagnes in that $20, $25, $30 price point that you're just getting your toes wet in champagne. So a lot of good alternatives. That's where I think some of the best bang for the buck is right now in sparkling wine.
Nice. Okay.
You guys are really making me feel like the idiot beer drinker with like the Soms. I'm like, yeah, I'll have a Bud Light, and you guys are like, oh, I'm talking about like Wycliffe and
With like the whole Pet-nat thing going on now.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, if you don't know if you're in the mood for a glass of wine or a beer, just get a Pet-nat because they're very beery.
Yeah.
A lot of them are
Those
very
can get
beery,
weird
so it's
and
that kind of
racy
like,
bridge
between the two. Hybrids, if you will.
Fair.
Yeah. Cheese, obviously, like this cheese right here. It's called Choblechon. It's a takeoff of Roblechon, which is illegal in the United States. So the French kind of rebranded it, and
Thanks, FDA.
yeah, exactly. And this pasteurized. So, but there's a famous dish called tartiflette. Did you have that while you were in Europe?
Yeah.
So it's basically, for those who don't know, tartiflette. It's basically like au gratin potatoes, but they use this crazy stinky cheese. So it's it's pretty full throttle.
I don't know how anybody actually has. I don't know how Europe reproduces. Like, you're so full on wine and good food by the end of the night. Like, how do you go home and have sex?
Puff pastry, like you eat your weight in puff pastry.
It's so good.
They must procreate in the morning before they have had.
I mean, they're like walking around eating pasta. Like when I was in Italy, dude, we were eating pasta, drinking wine, just like crushing bottles of wine. And then just walking around, and it's not flat. Like we stayed in Rome.
Fair.
It's
So it's the
you're walking up and down hills.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's just the cobblestones. That's how it's happening.
Yeah.
Wake and shake. There you go.
They have a good system.
Lots of good. I always think Manchego is kind of a universal cheese. I mean, it goes with whites, it goes with reds.
Yeah.
That's always a great thing to throw on any plate. Goat cheeses do really well with that style food. I mean, in all honesty, one of my favorite cheeses is that the people that make, what is it, Humble Fog? That's Cypress Grove.
Cypress Grove.
They do that.
Yeah.
What is it? Not the herbs, the Humble, the Purple Haze.
Yes.
And I think
Which is
that's
phenomenal.
what is it? Lavender and fennel honey or fennel pollen they put in it.
And
And
fennel
you
pollen.
kind of think like, okay, well, that would probably be skewed towards one red or white, but no, the thing's pretty slutty and goes with
That's wicked.
Goes
Yeah.
with reds, whites. It's super delicious, and
And that's pretty readily available at most Whole Foods because they do a lot of
Yeah.
production, so
Yeah.
people can find that.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're watching this, you can definitely find that. Yeah. And that cheese, it's slutty. You're not wrong. That cheese gets after it.
Dude. So I don't know. I got to circle back because I know very little about this. Sitting next to two experts over here. When I was a fishmonger, there were some horror stories for sure. Like crazy shit happens in a wet fish house that you would never anticipate. Right? Like big, giant, huge tuna with worms coming out. You're cutting the loins off the back, right? And there's like a 3-foot worm coming out of the thing. It's
really
like,
wow.
whew. Yeah, kind of turned me off seafood for a while, to be honest. You have any similar horror stories doing mongering cheese or however you would word it?
I mean, I don't really get too many horror stories. I mean, I used to have to get this one cheese that was the Emmentaler's. Those are 180-pound wheels of cheese. And it used to take 3 of us to cut it. That was always kind of interesting. So I had to use one of those giant, hand cheese knives. And I'd be like, okay, you're going to be catching a 90-pound piece of cheese on this side. You're going to be catching another 90-pound piece of cheese on this side. I'm going to be coming down the middle of it. So there's some potential for disaster.
90 pounds. Yeah, you'd break bones with 90 pounds.
Yeah, and that's, dead weight 90 pounds, catching a dead body, But for the most part, not too many.
That's a whole Sabrina Carpenter right there. Yeah.
So not horror stories as far as anything bad or crazy happening. I mean, obviously, I remember the other day I was training one of the new girls to, I have some people that do a lot of the cutting and wrapping and tagging for me, and they don't know cheese real well, but I'll be just like, hey, do this, do this, do this, and they're great at it. But one of the girls was wrapping one of the cheeses, and apparently she didn't put gloves on. And she got done, and she just had, horrifically stink hand. Oh. And she was like, I've washed my hands 5 times, and it won't come off. And I said, try rubbing onions all over it. She's like, onions? Aren't my hands stink like onions? I'm like, well, I mean,
what's the alternative?
Do you want onion hand or do you want stink palm,
Oh, stink palm, man, that's not a good term. Dude, you do not want to walk around with stink palm.
Really? Wet fish house? But yeah, stink palm is the one that gets it.
And it's funny, dude, they gave us
a lot
these
of graphic
gloves,
content in this
fillets,
episode.
we had to put them in bags and everything, and they went up to here. I can't even tell you how many times I had to, take my gloves off and drain the, guts out of my gloves. Yeah. No,
we
would
give you those
scale.
gloves for inseminating cows, like those big arm ones.
Well, yeah. So when I
Or are they
wasn't
specifically for fishmongering.
It's a good question, man. Because I've done that to very few cows,
and
I just go no gloves.
What a very specific market that single company has if they're just for cutting fish, doing cheese, or inseminating cows.
We sell fish. we'll cut fillets for you. And if you got a pesky, like, unpregnant cow, yeah, we'll fix that for you, too. We got the gloves.
Full service.
Yeah.
Full
Imagine
service.
that's social media.
Unless they improve their services, I feel like they probably don't.
Jesus.
Yeah. Mongering, though.
I bet the whole champagne and taco thing is underutilized.
Yeah.
There,
All right,
there
let's
should be,
talk.
There should be more champagne and taco tastings.
Yes. Agreed.
You brought a bottle of champagne, if I'm not mistaken.
Strangely
Did you
enough.
want to break into that, or you want to save it for another time?
I mean,
or?
I don't think it was a gift.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, okay.
I mean, I
Clearly
think
a
we
problem.
should. I mean, it's not like we're breaking ground here by having tacos and champagne, but I mean,
No, I was doing it
depends on
72
the
72 hours ago.
probably just try it and make sure that it's not poisonous.
We'll
No,
be
I'm
back
cool with
after
that,
this
yeah.
break.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to like get hurt.
yeah.
You know.
Louis Roederer.
Yeah, I
Yep.
went with Rotor.
Delicious choice.
Yeah, family owned, organic.
Yep.
I mean, name brandy. They make Cristal.
All right, real
I
quick,
like Cristal.
while you're opening that, for people that are looking to buy wine, the term natural wine has taken off. I think it's gotten away from people because there's a lot of people making quote unquote natural wines that aren't marketing them as
100%.
natty or stuff like that. So,
100%.
as a wine buyer, what's your take on that? Because it's a big topic right now.
I was actually just in Champagne, and one of the guys we were visiting, who is now making his own sulfur, which I thought was
Whoa,
really
cool.
super unique. We had to look that up on YouTube afterwards. So he's adding sulfur in a way that it's blows off and is non-detectable. And some of the champagne powers that be were not happy with the amount of sulfur in his wine, and they said it was too low. And he's like, I don't want to make wine with sulfur in it. So he's technically coming in at like under 10 parts per million.
Whoa. Okay.
Cedric Mousset, who's like a full-on mad scientist. The Mousset wines are rock star. So he's like, technically, these are natural wines. The other thing I think that's hilarious is that all those natural wines, like, oh, this new, you know, we get these kids come in, they're like, oh, this new kind of wine called natural wine. I'm like, that they've been making wine like that since
Yeah, like that's just called wine.
ancestral. It's ancestral winemaking. Like the very first wines all were made like that, and they're like, I mean, and I think it's basically what hand harvested, innocuous yeast that's on the
Yep.
thing. You know, it has to be under 10. I think it's 10 parts per million on the sulfites. There's a few other loopholes, but you know, there's good ones and there's bad ones, like anything else in life. You know what I mean? So the good is good, and some of them get kind of funky because if you don't have sulfur or some type of inhibitor,
They can definitely get away.
yeah, something sneaks in there, and some of them are kind of like funky barnyardy, and you're like, oh, that's interesting and
Barnyardy.
cerebral.
Wet. Some of them get a little wet fish house.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's not how you want your cheese or your wine to be.
Glove.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
But like, I was thinking on the way down here, like on the cheese. And we were talking about champagne, and obviously we have tacos here, so those should all be included in the same sentence. I don't understand why more people aren't doing like crazy gourmet cheeses and tacos and having like. I mean, I know that. What was that one
I'm
place
putting
over
some of
there
that on
was
one of these
doing,
in a second.
I think that would be a wise move for us. We should try
Yeah.
that. Well, what was the crazy Taco Maria?
Oh, Taco Maria. Yeah, here in Orange County.
And,
Yep.
and not that they were doing like these. I mean, they were doing some cool stuff, but they weren't like. There's no like crazy French cheese and like ostrich meat, or like someone should do like crazy tacos.
A pois pastor.
I don't know. Is that
Yeah.
Dude, that's actually a pretty awesome idea. Yeah.
Like,
you're kind of really thinking outside
gourmet mushrooms, like morel mushrooms, and some weird, crazy,
yeah.
like funky cheese, and you know.
Shout
some-
out to the guy, and I'm blanking on his name right now, and I feel so bad. But the guy who's literally making like 700 pounds of craft mushrooms a week up in Paso for like, and just for the chefs up there, like just crushing it.
Yeah. So I mean,
pounds.
I think I told you that while we were in Europe recently, we were all just like tripping that there was no like tacos to get anywhere. So if someone was to do like gourmet tacos in Paris, they'd probably crush it.
Dude, it's interesting. Every country that I've been to in Europe, they've had some, like, I've been able to get some, you know, their version of tacos, burritos, whatever. Like, there's always Mexican places in these different countries. They clearly have not ever been to Mexico or Southern California and, like, seen the food. It's a very strange kind of combo that they put up, but it's fun to give it a try.
So when I was here,
This is gonna rock. I guarantee this is gonna rock.
Yeah, it's gonna have to. I mean,
Well, otherwise, we don't know what we're talking about. Yeah.
It's salty. It's creamy.
And we're chasing with champagne.
I mean, someone's missing the boat
That's
here
insane.
somewhere,
Sorry.
right?
If you're
Dude,
still,
I'd like
if
to
you're
give it a
still
go, actually,
watching,
yeah.
I don't know
I
why.
mean-
It's wicked. Like, this should be your life. You.
This can be our life.
Oh my God.
This
It
can
will be.
our life.
It will be.
Caviar
Yeah, we're
bumps
doing it
are
right now.
so out.
Life changing.
Caviar bumps are out. We're doing cheese and taquitos from here on out. Oh my God.
So I guess that's a wrap for today.
Man, I feel like there's so much unexplored territory here.
We're going to have to circle back and probably do this again because I feel like we just scratched the surface. Now we're where we need to be,
Right.
and it's already
Well,
coming
now
to a
we know
close.
it's a thing.
Yeah.
Cheese and taquitos. Carla had no idea.
We're gonna do some more R&D into this. Stinky cheese, tacos,
Yeah.
wine,
Maybe we should
a little bubbly.
wrap
What?
back around. And just
Hashtag wet fish,
give it
wet
nothing
fish
and
house.
Just hang out and eat tacos and drink champagne and
Twist my arm, man.
talk about elbow length gloves.
Just really get up in there. Oh, no
Oh,
pun
dude.
intended.
Yeah, I can
sorry,
feel the
didn't
guts
think
in
about
the
it before I
fingers
said
right
it.
now.
Didn't think about it before I said it.
So on.
Oh no, go.
I was just gonna say, where can people find you, man, if they want to see your stuff?
So I'm at Hit Time Cellars in Costa Mesa. I'm there so many hours a week. Let's see. I do have for the champagne thing. I have a Instagram. It's Hit Time Cellars Bubble Buyer.
Yep.
HT Bubble Buyer, I think it is. I don't even know what my Instagram is, but
Dude, you're so you reminded me of me. People are like, what's your Instagram? I'm like, I have one.
yeah, I'm sure you can find me out there if you want. But no, it's a cool store. If you've never been by the store, by all means, come on by and I'll give you the nickel tour. Or if you do know the store and you haven't met me, come on by and introduce yourself or whatever.
All right, you guys. Todd, thanks so much for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me, man. You guys are
Wow,
awesome.
this was-
man.
Yeah,
Blast.
this was a good time.
Honestly, I would have come just to hang out, but maybe I'll just start coming hanging out on
They-
Mondays.
they
and
don't
bring
know-
Man,
home
the
They
chicken.
don't
door's
know
open.
what happens when the
you know,
cameras
door's
are off.
open. You
They
want to
don't
come
know what
hang out,
happens.
drink some bubbly, dude? We got time for that. So, all right, guys. With tequila Herradura in mind, happy Tuesday. Cheers.
Bye.